Hello, welcome to another edition of Oakmont History Live. Today we're coming to you from the Edgewater crossing. In the early days of Oakmont, the town was serviced by 3 train stations. We had the Halton station up on the northern end, we had the Oakmont station in the center, and we had the Edgewater station here at the southern end of town. And that was the large estate that was located here. It was built by a very wealthy Pittsburgh businessman by the name of John McDonald Crossan. Shortly after he built his home here, the railroad came along and they built a station at the entrance to his estate. And since there wasn't much else here, they decided to name that station the Edgewater Station. So you might ask, well, what happened to the Edgewater station? We don't have a whole lot of information on that train station. So to answer that question, we have to go back to October 16th, 1901. And on that morning, the Allegheny Valley Railroad sent a work train out from Pittsburgh, and they were to perform routine maintenance on the train tracks. And that first day, they got as far as Oakmont. So rather than take the train back to Pittsburgh, they decided that they would park it here at the Edgewater station on the siding in front of the station. So they parked the train and they went home. And the next morning, the crew came down, and the engineer, John Ruppel, fired up the engine, and he sent the brakeman up to open the switch so they could pull back out onto the main line. Now, the switch was located about up in the area of California Avenue. So the brakeman went up, opened the switch, gave the all clear sign, and the train proceeded to pull out onto the main line. Well, as soon as they pulled out onto the line, they could hear a train whistle. And they looked up the track and they could see smoke, and they could see a train approaching. It was freight number 68 headed southbound on the same line. So engineer Ruppel quickly reversed his train, pulled it back into the siding to let the freight train pass by. Now, at the same time, the ticket agent at the Edgewater station was a young lady by the name of Rebecca Fisher. And Miss Fisher was running late that day. So she rushed down College Avenue. She got to the crossing. She looked up. She saw the freight train approaching from the north. And because she was late, she thought she would make a quick dash in front of the train. But she looked over and she saw the work train sitting in the siding and the approaching freight train, and she thought better of it. So she waited. And that decision probably saved her life. Because you see, what happened, in their haste to get off the main line, they backed in and they forgot to close the switch. So freight 68 is traveling down the line. It hits the switch and is directed into the siding. The train is headed right for the idling work train. They collide, head-on collision. 12 cars from the freight train are totally demolished. Cars are strewn about the railroad tracks like a toy train under a Christmas tree. A tank car and a boxcar are thrown up in the air and come to rest on the roof of the Edgewater station. The station is knocked off its foundation. Surprisingly, no one is seriously injured in the accident. The rail crew were able to jump from their train right before the impact. There were no passengers waiting on the station, and Miss Fisher waited for the train to pass. Well, after the accident, the rail cars and the wreckage was cleared out, and at that point the railroad officials decided that they would not rebuild the Edgewater station because plans were underway for a new modern station up in the center of Oakmont, which would be the new Oakmont train station. So at that point they abandoned the Edgewater station and the wreckage was hauled away. And that was the end of the Edgewater train station. The name Edgewater lived on with the Edgewater Steel Company that was located here, and after that, it now lives on in the Edgewater housing development that occupies the same spot. So that's just one of the stories of the train stations in Oakmont. If you'd like to learn more about the train stations or the railroads here in Oakmont, we invite you to stop by the Oakmont History Center at 628 Allegheny River Boulevard. Until next time, this has been Oakmont History Live.